Family First is bringing you conservative conversations, commentary and content. And now you can access these important discussions in the format that you prefer. Watch, read, listen. You can watch our content on our website, familyfirst.nz. Simply click on the Watch tab and you'll see all our various programs that you can view. You can also watch these across our social media channels: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky. Everywhere. If you'd prefer to listen while you go about your daily activities or are traveling in a vehicle, then click on the Listen tab and the latest content is there for you to listen to. You can also find us on Spotify under Family First NZ. And if you prefer to read our commentary, then click on the Read tab. We're increasing the frequency of our written commentary, focusing on the latest research and analysing the current news events which are relevant to families and society. We provide the insight and context which you won't get from the mainstream media. We're also now adding the full scripts of Family Matters and McBlog under the video link in our website, and also written summaries on our live stream shows so that you can read and digest the material at your own pace. Consume our conservative conversations in the way that best suits you. Watch, read, listen. Go to familyfirst.nz and join the conversation.
Good morning, New Zealand. Monday morning, start of a new week. It's Forum Week, so busy week this week. But anyway, it's 25th of August. Welcome to Daybreak. Monday morning, hope you had a great week, and don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, then make sure you like this video and sign up for our channel, sign up for those notifications so you know when we go live. All right, breaking news this morning, and look, let me be quite clear. If you think that the ACT Party is a conservative party, it is not a social conservative party. To be quite clear, it is not a social conservative party. Voted for abortion, voted for the conversion therapy law, pushing euthanasia. And the latest is that the ACT Party are wanting to expand the euthanasia law even further. The first major change is they want to do away with the 6 months. So in other words, any terminal illness qualifies for euthanasia. You may be given 2 years, 5 years, and you can qualify for euthanasia. They say that it's overly restrictive. He does say that it's a prognosis. So this is ACT MP Todd Stevenson, who you may have never heard of. Overly restrictive prognosis. Remember that a prognosis, even medical professionals will say that a prognosis is not accurate, can be completely wrong. And we know of people who have been given a year to live and have lived up for 10 years. So that's the first problem. He calls it an arbitrary cutoff. It is arbitrary because nobody can predict with certainty. He says that none of the existing safeguards are weakened in his new bill, but that's not actually true. Of course, you've got the 6 month being removed. So this is more of the liberalisation which we predicted. They put all these safeguards in place to trick people over the line, and then they start to expand it. And we'll hear more about that in a minute from Canada. But concerning, they say that health practitioners can't raise the issue of assisted dying except as part of discussions of persons' treatment and end-of-life care options. Oh, and they're adding a provision that you can publicise and put out public information about assisted dying. So they want more information around the place about it, which of course is going to immediately make it more aware to the patient, and so therefore it's much more likely to be discussed. Another concern is that there is definite dangers for conscientious objection. The workforce for euthanasia is tiny. It's tiny because most medical professionals want nothing to do with euthanasia. But what they're doing is it looks like they're going to amend the Act to set out what practitioners can conscientiously object to, but that conscientious objection doesn't override a duty to act with the Code of Health and Disability Service Consumers' Rights. So you've got the right of the patient and then you've got the right of the medical professional. And what they're saying is, okay, the right of the medical professional isn't as important as the patient's right. So there goes conscientious objection for the 99% of the workforce who want nothing to do with euthanasia. Require care facilities to provide reasonable access to assisted dying. We're talking about old folks' homes, hospices. So there's another red flag. And because they can't get enough workers, they're talking about allowing nurse practitioners to be able to do what medical practitioners, doctors can do. So they're trying to expand the workforce because they can't get enough workers. So yeah, that's Todd Stevenson. Whole lot of red flags around that particular issue. Just to show you, this is the latest data. This is the expansion of euthanasia in just 3 years. Big jump in the last year, but ACT want more of that. And yeah, and look, this was sent to me over the weekend, and this is from Canada, and they are talking there about MAID, which is medical assistance in dying, which is basically euthanasia, assisted suicide for children and teens, and a committee has recommended this. Remember that Canada has also passed a law enabling euthanasia for mental illness, although it hasn't come into effect yet because there is so much unease with it. But that's just how far Canada is going down the slippery slope. And I mean, looking at New Zealand's figures, that's going down the slippery slope. But Todd Stevenson from ACT and the ACT Party want more. Yep, they want more. So yeah, that's pretty tragic news to start off a Monday morning, isn't it? Tragic news over the weekend as well, which talks about the sanctity of life and how we just don't seem to have it. A dead baby found in Auckland Park. This is the second time that it's happened. Remember the one, was it in a wheelie bin recently? This is about the 5th case this year of child abuse deaths, one of the worst rates we have. It's an issue we're actually going to discuss at the Forum on the Family on Friday, actually, but it's about our whole respect for life, both at the beginning of life, in the womb, and even outside the womb, end of life, and of course, then what we're doing to kids during life, chemicalizing and castrating them due to identity issues. It's the culture of death. And if you haven't watched it yet, make sure you go to our website and watch the latest Family Matters with Simon O'Connor, where he talks to a senior doctor from the US who talks about, are people dying with dignity when they have euthanasia? The suggestion is that maybe not in all cases, that the drugs that are being used are not as nice as they try to make out. So that's part of the discussion. Over the weekend, dumb question of the weekend was this one on the spin-off. They asked, has the 2026 election campaign already started? Duh. Election campaigns start the day after a new government is sworn in. 3 years, parties campaign. So yes, spin-off, it has started, and we're seeing that. And we've got this by-election happening in one of the Māori wards, electorates, and Penny Henare, who's a senior Labour MP, he wants to get rid of the gang patch ban. It was interesting. We were sitting outside a cafe last week and a whole procession of bikies went past. Not a single gang patch in sight. And I've heard that even, for example, in Gisborne, the removal of the gang patch has taken away a whole lot of the intimidation that used to be around. But Labour's Penny Henare, well, he said that he wants to repeal the gang patch, but then senior Labour said, no, we won't repeal it. But then next minute, Penny Henare says, no, we do want to repeal it. So that's kind of part of the problem. Now, related to that, there was an article in the paper over the weekend where commentators were talking about the fact that Labour's problem is that their mates are weird and wacky. You've got the Greens with Chloe's wanting to be finance minister, which would destroy the country, put us into even more debt. And then you've got the completely radical Te Pāti Māori, who are basically a protest movement. And commentators are saying when people connect Labour to Greens and Māori, they won't be so keen. And that's not a good look for them. The other news that came out just at the end of last week was the fact that Sport New Zealand, under the leadership of our good friend Raylene Castle, who brought Rugby Australia to its knees because of her dislike for Israel Folau, and, that he could only post nice bits of the Bible, apparently. She urged the government not to scrap the transgender inclusive sport guidelines. Look, breaking news for everybody. Sport is inclusive. You can play in the male or the female section. Very inclusive. In fact, if you're going to say that it's being exclusive because you can only play in the male or the female that aligns with your biological sex, should we be doing away with age restrictions as well? Because that's exclusive. I can't play in the under 17 soccer team, right? Is that exclusive? No, it's not. It's common sense and safety. And probably it's for my own dignity because I wouldn't be able to keep up with the under 17-year-olds. Lead story in the Sunday Star Times over the weekend. Apparently, buying drugs is as easy as ordering pizza. You can do it online. And of course, as usual, the reporters, whenever they talk about drugs, they always rush off to two people. Or not family first, right? They rush off to Chloe Schwarbrick and the Drug Foundation. And the Drug Foundation and Chloe Schwarbrick yell out, the war on drugs isn't working, and therefore we need to legalise drugs. The usual argument. The problem is that when you look at the usage in New Zealand, you actually find that, yes, there is a problem that people can buy drugs online, but the usage is so low. I looked at the Health NZ data. This is the usage for cocaine, 2.4% of adults. So 98% of us, it's not even an issue. And this is MDMA, ecstasy, 4.8%. And you can see down the bottom right there that it's sort of the younger, and then people grow up and they stop using the drugs. So we're talking about a very small minority. Interestingly, today, there's an article about New Zealand Customs battling the illicit tobacco coming into the country because our, surcharges, the taxes on cigarettes are so high because we're trying to discourage people from smoking. Yes, great idea, isn't it? We don't want people smoking, bad for your health. Do they rush off to Chloe and the Drug Foundation to say, we should make tobacco more available? We should get rid of those surcharges. This tobacco-free 2020, smoke-free 2025. We should stop pushing that. No, they don't. So it's very interesting that they want a war on tobacco, but not the war on drugs. And it's interesting noting the response to similar types of things. Article on Radio New Zealand talking about the fact this whole age verification system. And they talk about Melinda Tankard-Rees spoke at our conference a number of years ago from Collective Shout. And in Australia, they called for payment platforms, including Visa and MasterCard, to stop services basically taking money so that people could access services where the platforms hosted rape, incest, and child sexual abuse theme games. We don't want those, do we? No. And it worked. Gaming platforms started taking down those games. But then people started complaining because they said of unintended consequences. What were the unintended consequences? Apparently, one of the main one was that it included games were being taken down that had LGBTQ content. Yes, apparently this is overreach. And it was due to capitulation to outside conservative voices and forces. Well, if that's their only argument, that's not really going to work. And the fact of the matter is, there is a tipping point in this whole area. In the US, kids are going back to school. They've had the summer off, and start of the school year in September, end of August in the US. And 20 new states have passed legislation limiting the use of smartphones, tablets, and other wireless devices in public schools. Yeah, they found that 97% of teens use their smartphones during school hours, mostly to watch video games, scroll social media, or watch pornography. And teens spent an average of 1.5 hours on their phone during a 6.5 hour school day. So they realised there was a problem. We realised that in New Zealand, didn't we? Uh, and yet there was this massive pushback when National came into power almost 2 years ago now, and banned cell phones in schools. And yet, if you ask people now, they would say it was the best decision. My beef is, why did it take politicians to make that call, and why weren't senior educators making that call? I haven't quite got an answer to that one. Just one other report I read over the weekend is this one from CFAM, which is a Catholic group which monitors the UN. And it says an analysis by CFAM researchers revealed that the UN Children's Agency, UNICEF, spends hundreds of millions of dollars promoting explicit, even pornographic sexual content for children around the world. UNICEF is the agency that a few years ago produced a study, since withdrawn, that purported to show pornography is helpful for children. And CFAM's analysis, UNICEF Attack on the World's Children, examined dozens of programs from Ukraine to Thailand. Despite the claim by UNICEF that it only provides age-appropriate material, the uncovered material demonstrates that UNICEF encourages children to question their sexuality, embrace a non-binary understanding of gender, and exposes them to information on sexual pleasure, including masturbation, foreplay, and sexual fantasies. That is UNICEF. And, it just backs up the statement that, here's an example of some of their tweets. It just backs up the statement that anything out of the UN should immediately raise red flags. Now, I've actually got a bit of fun just to finish today's. I had a number of videos that I wanted to show you, so I'm going to keep 2 of them for Wednesday. You'll have to wait for that. But have you been following this story in the US? There's this company called Cracker Barrel. In terms of New Zealand, I was thinking it's probably like Denny's. Okay, so it's a chain store, lots of history to it. I actually read a little bit of the history of it, and when I read the history, I realized what was going on here. So apparently, now where does it say it? Cracker Barrel was founded on Southern hospitality and tradition by a Christian family in 1969. Since the original owners passed, company leadership has gone through major changes, and the current CEO, Julia Fels-Massino, who I think may be looking for a new job now, took over in 2023 and began an immediate push to modernize and rebrand the company. It began with small changes. Actually, has anybody been to a Cracker Barrel? If you've been to the US, I'm interested to know. The classic brown menus have been replaced, the uniforms relaxed, the dress code's done away with to pander to blue-haired employees. Then alcohol was introduced, breaking with decades of staying dry to preserve a family-first atmosphere set up by the original Christian owners. And then service and management standards degraded, the quality changed along with the drive for new modern customers. And then they changed the logo. So the logo there you'll see has an old man sitting on a chair, leaning against a barrel, and they've changed it to this. Ugh, boring. But the thing is that the logo, the previous logo, symbolized basically the era of front porch values in simpler times. And people like that. People like the tradition, the conservatism, the history. But then they went to this. And as you'll see, so this is all the talk in the US. If you don't monitor US chatter like I do and cultural issues, you probably haven't even heard about this. But as a result, this is another Bud Light moment, or Nike moment, or there's a few companies like that these days. And their stocks crashed. Anyway, just to finish off with this morning, I saw this. This is a video that was put together, a song. We've got a country song for you this morning. So we're going to enjoy some music. And it's talking about go woke, go broke. And you'll see a whole lot of reference to various companies in the US that have gone woke and have suffered the price for it. So here we go. Here's some music for a Monday morning.
Calvin Klein said being morbidly obese was cool. Then Nike used a man in leggings to sell women's clothes. They must think we're fools. Go woke, go broke. That's what they say. Try selling folks what they don't want. You'll find there's hell to pay. If you ask me, you should keep your politics to yourself, and we'll both have a better day. Greedy banks lecturing me about DEI. Are they for real? And some whack jobs named Ben and Jerry want me to boycott Israel. It's enough to make you reach for a beer, but Bud's woke too. Next they'll call it the queen of beers. Guess this Bud ain't for you. Go woke, go broke. Different company, different day. Sell liberal insanity and you'll see that business plan don't pay. Best Foods don't want your opinions on Trump. Just want mayo for my sandwich, that okay. Why, oh, why do brands insist on committing suicide? Cracker Barrel, you could left me on the logo and just let it ride. Hey, Wall Street, God, politics, and sex ain't your business. So do me a favor and stay the heck out of mine. Go woke, go broke. That's what they say. Had enough of your brand sermonizing like yesterday. Stick to selling your screens, beans, and widget machines. Oh, and did I mention Sydney? Sweeney has great genes.
There we go. There's your treat for today. Let's just check a couple of comments. George, morning to you. Says, cool. Catherine says, you'd think these companies would learn from others. Simply Green says, what does UNICEF consider age appropriate? That's a great question, but it's certainly not what most parents would consider age appropriate. And UN says it all. Rosie says, who gave David Seymour the right to decide who gets to carry on living and who doesn't? I think probably it's the majority of politicians, remember? And we held a referendum on this issue, and unfortunately, by a vote of 2-1, because it was misrepresented as to what euthanasia was, and that we already had the right to not request any further treatment. So there was huge confusion about what the law actually allowed. Lynette says, sums it up well. And Caroline, morning to you, great song. Yeah, there was a bit of fun for a daybreak. Not often I do that, but anyway, just very quickly, Straight Talk tonight, Rodney, Susan, Sue, and Ate. So we're going to discuss all these issues. Join us tonight at 8 o'clock, and tomorrow morning, Simon will be here at 7:30 for Solid Ground. Right, I am well out of time. Have a great Monday. See you.